Oh my goodness. Freaking A. Well, that was interesting. So we just had 2.5 minutes of no audio. And all because I moved my mic and appear to have hit the mute button. Can you hear me now? Let's just confirm the audio is coming through loud and clear. In fact, I just did. Okay, cool. I just did a half-hour video on Myria that I was recording in Myria nodes, and I'm gonna have to check the audio on that. Glad we figured that out. So let's go over the intro again. A lot of people are looking for good deals in the crypto space, and there's a lot of buzz right now about blockchain gaming. And a lot of people are chasing into blockchain gaming. Now, I actually think blockchain gaming is going to take another leg up. And then after that, I think it's going to pull back. And I'm going to show you specifically why now and talk to you about why. And I like blockchain gaming a lot. In fact, we were talking about blockchain gaming when it was dirt cheap. Why? Because I'm an investor. I like dirt cheap. And now that everyone's talking about blockchain gaming, you should be a little concerned. Why? Well, realize that 95% of people don't do well in crypto. Only 5% or less do exceptionally well in crypto. I've been around in the crypto space 6 years ago, and when I was brand new, I thought everyone was going to make massive money here. And I found out that no, most people are going to absolutely do terrible in the crypto space because they treat it like gambling. And they're not looking for opportunities where the odds are stacked in their favor. They actually keep jumping into opportunities where the odds are stacked massively against them. And so they lose money in crypto and they think crypto sucks. I got the rug pulled out from under me and all these stupid things people say. Why? They're just new. They don't realize the space that they're in and they don't know how to find opportunities where the odds are stacked in their favor. And they don't realize they have to learn that. They have to become exceptional investors. I like to think of it as becoming a savage crypto investor, like the Navy SEAL of crypto investing. And that's what you're looking to do, is become like a Navy SEAL. And most channels do not even understand that. So they don't even have a chance to teach you to do that. Many of them are acting pretty emotional. Some of them do a lot of videos while prices are at the top because that is what will grow their channel. And so when you cover something that's already up 15x and you make a video on why it's going to go another 500x from here, well, then you'll get tons of views, tons of new subscribers, and you grow your channel. And your subscribers will absolutely get wrecked over the coming year. Why? Because you probably FOMO'd them into buying at the top. Sad. But that's what happens. Here on this channel, we're not geared towards massive growth. Why? Because we cover a lot of projects when they're boring. And guess what? Nobody is searching for when the price action is boring. Those projects. So when they're an undiscovered gem, yeah, everyone wants to find an undiscovered gem, but you would be shocked at how few people can actually buy something that's a gem that the price action isn't already running on, and they will just pass it up for something that has already gone 5 to 10x. They'll FOMO into that, and then they'll learn a lesson the hard way. Now, they won't realize that they just made a bad choice. They'll blame it on other things, not take responsibility. Then they'll eventually leave the space and they'll say crypto sucks. They don't realize they made the mistake. They bought it at the wrong time. They bought when the odds were stacked against them. They're mistaken because they don't take ownership of it. They don't become any better. Glad the audio is good now. That's really funny. Good thing we were live. Love everyone getting a feel and talking to each other, interacting. Russ says, I seem to have missed the gaming run. What other categories do you think will run next? Rain, Liquid Protocol, AstroX look good. As Zap Exchange, some good suggestions there. We're going to talk about some that are on my mind, though a lot of what you're looking for is stuff that hasn't run yet. DeFi hasn't run yet, and it will at some point. AI is starting to run again, and AI has its own narrative, and the crypto space tends to run in narratives. Found you, Rain, like 2 years ago when I discovered Omi. Have a new respect for you, man. You're a smart dude. Thank you, Vladimir. Good to have you here. Chronor. Yeah, good to have you here as well. All right, so let's jump into a few thoughts, and let me go over one that's on my mind right now, Myria. And I just recorded a video that I might have to re-record because the audio probably didn't come through. And that video is on Myria nodes and essentially how to get Myria nodes at a discount. Now, we're not early in the game for Myria, and many of you that are my regular audience realize that. And you can already see that from some of the comments. In fact, that was a very smart comment by Russ. I seem to have missed the gaming run. Yes, one of the things we don't do here is we don't chase into green candles. And what do we have here? We have a lot of green candles. Now, I do think there will be another run up, and it will go from 1 cent, possibly as high as 2.5 cents. So the way I got to that is really this simple. Notice we are on logarithmic scale here. So logarithmic, and see this little thing? Notice these other runs, that is exactly the amount of leg that they took up on logarithmic scale. So if it does one more equal length run, it might end up as high as 2.5 cents, especially from the bottom, depending on where things go. So could end up right around 2.5 cents. So if you're interested in Myria nodes, one of the strategies you might do is, and it's risky because Myria could break to the downside from here, but Elliott wave theory, notice that usually wave 1 will go up, wave 2 will be like a retracement or a little consolidation pattern, wave 3 will run up, wave 4 consolidation period, wave 5 will run up, and then you'll be onto a bigger retracement. And a little bit that's happening, right? Wave 1, then consolidate, wave 1, then consolidation, wave 2, then consolidation, and then wave 3 will come after that. And if it breaks up to the upside, could go to 2.5 cents. Now, it could go up much, much more than this. But I plan personally to get some more Myria nodes. And if you're thinking of getting a Myria node, well, great. I do have 21. I should have a link below. In fact, let me check and make sure it is there. If you're interested in getting a Myria node, if you use my link, 2 things. I got a guy that runs stuff for, yes, the link is there. If you use my link and you message me, I have a guy that I pay $17 a month per node to, and I'll pay for your first month with him and set you up with him. Now, you can run it yourself. To run a virtual private server yourself will cost you $20 a month or more usually. Or you can set up a computer at home and run it, something that's dedicated, always connected. The guy I use, I have not missed one day of rewards, and I didn't really know how to set it up. He told me what to do, walked me through it real easy, set it up, and I've gotten all my rewards every day since it kicked off. And it's been a really worry-free solution at cheaper than it would cost to get my own virtual private server. So that video was on how to get it at essentially 60% off, because if you get tokens at the current price and it runs up to 2.5 cents, because you're buying it in Myria tokens, well, essentially you'd be getting about 60% off on your nodes, or you'd be able to get just 2.5 nodes instead of just 1 today, if it plays out that way. But realize if you're holding the Myria token and it retraces, the cost of the Myria nodes in Myria tokens will go up because the price of Myria tokens went down. And though the chances are really good that it takes another run up, it could break to the downside. So now it could keep running up from here, but most likely it will retrace and then come back down, because the gaming sector isn't going to run forever. It's too early. So everyone's talking about blockchain gaming right now. But remember a few months ago, well, it was more than a few months ago. It was later January, early February. Everyone was talking about a different narrative. Do you remember what that narrative was from way back this year in January, February? Any guesses? Ooh, bro might have a connection. Says you can get a virtual private server for $8 to $15 a month through Hetzner. You'll have to give me more details on that, because I'm all about, my solution's been great, but I'm not, if there is a better deal and you don't mind running it yourself, if you can get a virtual private server for $8 a month, once you set it up, setting up is going to be kind of tricky, but there are some walkthrough videos on setting it up you could do. That would save you a lot. Yeah, you don't need a super high-end one. There's not all that much you have to run on. So if there are ones out there for $8 a month, that's going to save you a lot, especially if you get a bunch. So cool. Bro's been a long-time community member, so like what he's saying there is probably very credible. Yes, Chris Ashby and Doomsday both have it right. Early this year, we had AI running massively. So this was early this year. And we saw Singularity Net and a number of other ones go absolutely nuts. So it went from 4 cents, in fact, all the way back in December. Yeah, it was like 4.3 cents. And it ran up 10x. And then it retraced all the way back down to 17 cents. So it didn't retrace to the same lows, but it came into the narrative and then out of the narrative. And notice it went one wave up. In fact, it shows it better here. So wave up, sideways, and a bit of retracement. Then a second wave up, sideways. And then as it was going this wave up, this is pretty weird. There's a massive profit taking, but it actually had 3 total waves up, because this move up was just interrupted by some massive profit taking, but it did go to an even higher high. So it went from about 43 cents up to the next high was about 55 cents. And then it did a big retracement. So it pretty frequently runs in these patterns. Notice wave up, another wave up here, and then it retraced. And so Myria, probably, especially because more people are still FOMOing into blockchain gaming, I think it's going to break to the upside and go up maybe 2 to 2.5 cents. But then it will come out of narrative and it will retrace just like AI did, and it will settle. So if you're going to buy a node, if it plays out like that, you get your Myria tokens now, I'd say there's about a 62% chance it breaks to the upside. And if it does, then, and it runs all the way up to 2.5 cents, essentially you'll be paying about 40% for the node because you were holding a token that went up a whole bunch in value. All right, so that's one option. Am I loading up on Myria at this price? No, I'm taking profits. I've taken some profits on Myria at this price. This was the load up zone that I was telling people, especially on the lower trend line of this. I said this is massively anywhere below like the 0.2 cents was in my like load up zone, and it was down there for a long time. A lot of people complain about Myria and they say, oh, the token vesting and the node vesting. Yes, that does put some downward price pressure, but all it took was a little bit of buy pressure to vastly exceed that sell pressure, and it popped off like crazy. Now, a lot of people ask me about other ones in crypto and they say, oh, should I get into game for a living? Amazing team. And the truth is, yes, I 100% agree. Incredible team. One of my community members, Ryan, brought my attention to this because I hadn't heard of them. And when I looked at it, I was like, oh my gosh, stellar project, going to be a big player is my guess. But it's had a massive run from when it launched. So it came out at 0.5 cent. It's close to almost 5 cents. So it's up 9x. And I don't have any yet. I don't chase green candles. So I'm just going to wait on the sidelines. And if this never comes back, that's okay. So I like to think of it as this ship has left the port, and I'm not going to jump off the dock and chase something that has left the port. If it doesn't come back, that's okay. There's some other ones that are at port right now. Another one that's left the port that a lot of people are talking about and they're considering FOMOing in is Seedify. The Seedify launchpad tokens for gaming, it's a good place to be. Seedify went up from 50 cents roughly up to, it's gone 4x. It topped off at almost 5x, but now it's a solid 4x from where it was. And yes, it could go higher, but it is a launchpad, and the market cap's already 125 million, which is pretty high for a launchpad. They are one of the number one launchpads for blockchain games, but I am not going to chase into Seedify at these prices. No way. So there are other launchpads and other things that don't have these massive green candles that are at much smaller valuations that can give you access to some of the good blockchain games that will launch in the future. And the tokens for those launchpads will run up tremendously when that happens. Okay, so still very interested in blockchain gaming. It's just this narrative has popped off pretty early. So to summarize, at some point it will pull back like what we saw with Singularity Net, which is one of the top blockchains for projects for AI. And I don't want to be buying into something just in time to catch a retrace and get absolutely punished. So I did talk about Myria tokens. Is it worth it to take this? It is a risk because if it pulls back from here, you're going to catch a retrace. So it is just a potential to buy it 60% off if it runs up to 2.5 cents. But it is kind of a risky play. Now I have a couple million Myria tokens set aside that I'm going to take this play with. If it doesn't work out for me, well, then I'm not going to roll those tokens into nodes. I'm just going to keep them on the sidelines for longer and wait till they appreciate. Cool. Bro dropped a screenshot in Discord of where to get the virtual private server for that price. For all of those in the Discord, great way to do it. All right. Robert, that's a great question, brother. I will actually get into that. If Bitcoin retraces to 15K or lower, these will get wrecked. You're not wrong on that. That if it retraces to 15K, but why is Bitcoin going to retrace to 15K at this point? There's way too much institutional pressure for it to happen, short of a potentially world-changing event. So yes, if World War III starts, nuclear bombs go off, some kind of potentially world-ending virus, absolutely, all bets are off the table. Who knows? I mean, but world-ending virus might actually drive Bitcoin's price up versus like fiat. We don't really know what would happen in that, but I don't know why it would go so low. No Omi talk, please. Time to move to new projects with potential. Well, Viva, Hernando, you might have it exactly backwards. So what we don't do is we don't chase into green candles. And so a lot of people, they want me to cover what's going hot. In fact, Singularity just went 2x and people are like, yes, it's hot. So in other words, they have confirmation that confirmation from other people that the price is doing well, and that's when they want to buy. But is Singularity cheap now? No, it just doubled in price. It's not cheap. Now, maybe it's relatively cheap compared to what it will be, but I don't love buying it after it just 2x. I like seeing the potential and buying it when it's down. Why would I want to buy something when it's expensive? I want to buy it when it's cheap. Guess what people were saying? Let's look at Myria. What were people saying when I was talking about buying Myria at prices like this? Myria, oh my gosh, why don't you find a project that will do well? The Myria token investing is destroying it. Why would you ever buy Myria? It just fallen off a cliff and it will never recover. Well, who won that argument? I did, and I usually win my arguments. Why? Because my argument's based on logic, not emotion. Because we have this problem that we do as human beings where it's the law of, what is the name of it? Essentially, as human beings, we think what has been happening is what's going to continue to happen. And it's severely flawed thinking. And yet, as human beings, we do this all the time. So at Myria, when it was going down like this, notice it formed this nice rounded bottom that if you were watching closely, you could be like, oh my gosh, this is great news. Look at how it's getting higher lows, higher lows, higher lows. That was all bullish. And yet there were other people that are like, oh my gosh, it's so terrible. And Myria is going to go to 0.00001 cents. And they would not buy it. Now what are they doing? Now they're buying it. Why? Because they have confirmation from, as they look to everyone to the side, who says Myria is the best thing ever and it's going to go 100x. Now, I agree. Myria is probably going to go over 100x from what the prices were here. But now it's 9x. So for it to go another 100x from here, that would have to be 900x from what the bottom was. I don't know if it's going to pull a 900x. That would be amazing. But they're buying at the wrong time. They're unable to buy when it's cheap. And you know what? 85% of people are unable to buy when it's cheap. That's okay if that's you. That's normal. What is abnormal is those able to look past the FUD, see the value in a project, even though lots of people are panicking now, lots of people are scared. What do you think they were saying when I was covering Myria when it was cheap? And there were a lot of things that I were covering when they were cheap and they couldn't look past it. So we're going to talk about some today. But if you look at the charts, it's going to be scary because there's not confirmation that is going to go absolutely crazy, which is when the good deals are. Hi, Crypto Rain. On your first bull run, what did you do? And when you first started, that helped you a lot in the crypto market. Siege, that is a fantastic question. And Rick, how long have I been an advisor to Caliscope for? Over a year now. First bull run, so it was 2017. I caught midway through the bull run. So somebody had explained Bitcoin to me wrong. I thought about it wrong, and so I had it categorized wrong. Essentially, somebody told me that you could put your computer to work processing strings and you would get rewards in Bitcoin, but that you could endlessly print Bitcoin essentially. And so I thought there was, there would be an unlimited supply, which over time would have absolutely wrecked the price. Well, I just totally misunderstood it, and I didn't dig deep enough because the person told me in such a flawed way. But when it hit $6,000 or $4,000, I thought there must be something to Bitcoin I'm not understanding, or it never would have hit $4,000. So I started looking deeper, and by the time I could get some money into the system and everything, I was buying Bitcoin at 6,000. I put about 15,000 in, and so meanwhile, I was looking at altcoins. I put about 15,000 in. It went to 165 or 168,000, maybe even 170,000. Then it went all the way down to 3,000 by mid 2018. So I was like, well, crap. Dang it. Okay, so I bought some green candles. And yes, it went further up, and I didn't take any profits, and it retraced on me. So I was doing more research and realizing there was these 4-year cycles, or just under 4 years. It's not truly full 4 years. It's like 3.5-year cycles. And that it happens pretty consistently at about 3.5 years. And geez, that's a really short cycle. And the swings are massively volatile. And so I was like, this is exactly the right place to be. And as I got to understand the technology, I realized that Bitcoin unlocked a new idea that would unlock capabilities in the internet that is way beyond Bitcoin, because ETH developed smart contracts, and then smart contracts have been further progressed so that between cryptographic encryption, blockchain, and smart contracts, the internet can now do things it couldn't do before that will unlock a new abilities in the internet and bring about what we call Web3. So I continue to stick around. 2021 was amazing for me. Made life-changing gains in 2021, and I rolled most all of that forward, took some profits, and rolled it in during the bear market, and looking forward to this coming year. Kroner asks, Rain, how much does one Myria node cost now? I was just looking at that, and it is, let's see if I might even still have that up. It disconnected me. It does that. I'll pull it up in just a sec. It's $4,500 worth of Myria tokens. So that is about just under 500,000 tokens. So it's 468,470 right now, or $4,525 per node. Now, I bought some in the pre-sale, and they were selling at 1.5 ETH, which at the time that was just barely under $5,000 per node. I bought 21 of them. However, from the token rewards over the past 10 months, I have actually made my initial investment back and then some. Not because, well, during the low prices, I was accumulating more and not selling at those prices. But recently, prices have hit pretty profitable. So I've taken some nice profits from that. And I knew that there would be a period that the nodes were not, the emissions. I would just need to set them aside and wait till a better time frame. Now, I think Myria, when the full gaming run hits, it's going to be extreme. And if you're saving your tokens during the low points when Myria's token isn't doing super well, and you save them to when Myria's token is doing exceptionally well, that's when you really maximize your profitability on the Myria nodes. All right. Jorge asked a good question. J-Matt asked a good question. Let me make sure I get to all the questions that I've missed so far. What do you think about QNT as boring chart? I feel like can abruptly shoot up because it's such a great project. A good one for us to look at. Crypto BG, Wombat, the best Web3 gaming platform. This may be, put it in here twice. It might be some kind of bot, but Wombat. I do not know Wombat at all. And interesting. So, yeah, I don't mind jumping into some research together. Let me share my screen. This is Wombat. So the price is actually pretty boring versus everything else. It looks like it launched over a year ago, and most everything after they launch, usually, especially as they launch into a bear market, the price gets somewhat punished, and the market cap's gone down to 648,000. Now that doesn't scare me, but I want to know, gosh, what's the chance this project can even survive? They've got 58,000 followers. That's not a lot. So I just clicked on their Twitter link. I would be looking through this. I would want to look at the credibility of the project. And if the blockchain gaming space really takes off, a lot of this stuff can do well. It looks like there's a bunch of Twitter spaces by their team. That is a fantastic way to do some research. I really like to hear what's going on with the teams behind to figure out what I believe, like how much I believe in them. And some of these smaller cap projects could do well. There might be some value in Wombat. I don't know it. I don't know anything about the team. It does have, let me go back to the tokenomics behind it. It looks like only 9% of their tokens are in circulation. So its fully diluted market cap is a lot higher. Oh, it looks like only 4% is in circulation. So their fully diluted market cap is quite high at 15 million. I'd be cautious on a lot of these tokens dumping into it. And I'd be cautious because there will be a lot of blockchain gaming spaces that are just scams, or they don't have the team that can amount to much. Name's not bad, Wombat Web3 gaming platform, but this is where you want to do your screening and looking deeper. What kind of background do they have? Can they make it happen? So in this short time period, I wouldn't be able to make a very informed decision on Wombat, but good question. Let me jump to more. Before I get to more questions, let me jump to some that I think are priced well. So many of you who have followed me for a while, you're like, oh, but Rain, you've talked about this before. Well, of course. I like projects that I think the narrative makes sense. And I like to buy them when their price is cheap versus expensive. And so this is Bumper Token. And I've had their team on the channel many times for many interviews, and they haven't really popped off yet. Their market cap is just at 5 million. Now, some people are like, oh, only 40% of their tokens are in circulation. Yes, that's correct. Right. And one of my Discord members was asking me, oh my gosh, there's 2 wallets that hold the majority of the bump tokens. And they were freaked out. And it's like, well, of course, 2 wallets. One would be like the fund that they give rewards to people for. And the other one would be like the project ecosystem tokens, or like the team tokens and whatever they hold back in reserve for the project themselves. Well, those would be the 2 major wallets that would hold bump tokens. It's not like some investors have bought like 90% of the supply and are like pushing the price around. Those would be the wallets. I mean, that's actually very normal for projects, but it was good that he's looking deeper and starting to understand those concepts. That's because he's becoming a savage crypto investor. And that's part of becoming like the Navy SEALs in crypto, is learning to look at that stuff and ask those questions and then realize that the answer isn't all that scary. That's actually quite normal. But going through that process and learning to be able to look at those things, that was a fantastic learning point. So recently it was all the way down at 3 cents, and it was a killer deal. And a lot of people are freaking out because their mainnet launched in here, and the token went to about 10 cents, and their mainnet launched. And then the token price fell, and a lot of people panicked, and they're like, oh crap, it's going all the way down to 0, and they sold. Well, then it since has bounced back from there. And essentially what you're seeing is a double bottom. So the previous low, the lowest it got was I think it actually hit 1.7 cents at one point. It was an amazing price. Went up to 10 cents, came back down to about 3 cents. So a higher low, and the charting pattern is fantastic. I think Bumper's massively undervalued. If you haven't researched it, check out my interviews with Jonathan Descartes-Ray. They are absolutely phenomenal. He's their CEO and one of the co-founders. Brilliant guy explaining what Bumper does. Some people say, but Rain, what if Bumper doesn't do well? Well, that's always a risk. And always keep in mind, well, what if this project doesn't work out? And some of the risky stuff I invest in doesn't work out. Now, it used to be when I was pretty new in crypto, even though I had all that prior experience, about half of what I bought failed because I hadn't learned how to sift out the 70% of the crypto projects that are just complete shit. I since learned that lesson, and then I look at the 30% that aren't shit, and I try to figure the best ones that are in there. So I got a lot better at not buying the shit. Did I know how to do that first? No, I did it, and many of you do it. Why? Because you don't know better yet. You're still learning to become a savage crypto investor, and it takes time. Just understand that. Don't beat yourself up. You're going to be bad before you're good, and it's okay. Over a period of a couple of years, you can get extremely good at this. And if you get extremely good at this, the amount of money that you can make in the coming years is probably far more than anywhere else you could make in your life. Omi sucks. I totally disagree with you on that. Totally disagree with you. Let's look at Wagy Games, because this is one of our community members. Now, if you haven't followed Game Trove's channel, I strongly suggest you do. Game Trove actually goes in and plays the games. I was hoping to be able to do that, but as I was trying all these different games, it was just absolutely overwhelming me. I realized I'm not as much of a gamer as I thought I was. I didn't enjoy it. It was becoming total work for me. Game Trove has been going in and trying all these games, and he's been really big on Wagy as something he's invested in. Now, Wagy started as a meme coin. It kind of got rug pulled, and then the team, like the community, kind of took it over and actually built a project behind it. Now I'm trying to find which Wagy, because there's a couple Wagys, and having a hard time figuring out which one it is. So Wagy, give me a minute, and I'll share my screen. Should be Wagy Coin. I don't know why. We're looking for the blockchain gaming one. There we go. Wagy Games. This is what I'm looking for. Let me share the screen. So it's easier to find on CoinGecko, and it's ranked 504. It's Wagy Games. So you're looking for Wagy Games. And they have survived, and they pumped and they broken their previous highs, which is awesome. So, and he actually called it when it was way down here. So Game Trove did it because he's actually been playing the games and following them really well. I didn't know enough about the team behind it to have an opinion, other than I said, you know, I like his opinion, and if he thinks it's going to do well, probably will. And it has, and it went massively up like this, and then it's come back down, and then it's absolutely taken off with the gaming. The problem that I have overall with Wagy is this. So a lot of the token raised when they sold the token as a meme coin, well, all that money that they raised essentially disappeared. And so the people crowdfunding this, like, they don't have a lot of funds really, other than their own funds, to build this. So I'm just concerned that their project funding is too anemic to survive. And I hope they do. Their timing is pretty good in that blockchain gaming, number one, going through a pump now, but it will probably at some point, the narrative will slow down and people will focus on some other narrative. And then we'll probably have a bigger blockchain gaming run sometime next year. It might be late next year, but it will be much, much bigger than what we've just seen. And that will be a wild ride. So if it survives till then, it could do really well. But there's other stuff that I'm in over this because I'm just concerned they don't have enough funding to do exceptionally well. Now, I would love to be impressed in that the game pulls it off and becomes a top level project anyway. They face a massive uphill battle towards doing that. Kevin says Bitcoin teasing 40K. Yes, they are. Playable games, Family de Bracolier. Wow. I took some French. I lived in Montreal for a couple of years. I'm not going to try to pronounce that correct. I will slaughter it. Playable games is another one that's absolutely been running, and they do have nodes. I haven't bought any nodes, but they are one of the blockchain gaming ones that has absolutely been doing tremendously, especially because it's on Avalanche. But like I said, I don't chase in these green candles. If I was going to buy it here, I would realize that at best I have a 60% chance it's going to break to the upside. And I would put in some stops because it could break to the downside, but probably it will take one more run up, and then it's probably going to have a bigger, longer retracement, because a lot of the blockchain games that have a chance to go worldwide and really grab adoption, well, they're not out yet. And I think when they are out and they're getting worldwide adoption, when the bigger blockchain gaming run happens. So it's just really early. Notice so many people are talking about playable right now. That in itself should be a concern for you, right? So I think you were saying Omi sucks, and then playable. So playable has lots of market confirmation right now, right? It's like, oh, all the action is happening. It feels great to be here. At some point, it's not going to feel very good to be holding it, because it will have a big retracement. That's just what happens. And then probably later a bigger run. But a lot of people who are buying now, say it runs up more, it'll then retrace on them. They will then sell at a loss, and they will miss the later bigger run because they haven't figured out crypto yet. And so they're literally going to buy high, watch it go higher, but then watch it retrace on them and sell low and miss the later pump that probably happens. Recency bias, Sour D called it. That it's called recency bias. We assume that what's been happening is going to be what continues to happen. So that's why so many people are bullish on playable right now. They weren't bullish on playable here. They didn't even know anything about it. And that's just mid-October. They're like, oh, playable sucks. Why? Recency bias. Then it runs up and they're like, playable's the best thing ever. I just bought in and it's going to go straight to the moon. And then they learn about, well, okay, this narrative is somewhat short-lived. It's an amazing narrative, but the bigger run will probably come later. And they'll probably then sell after it retrace a little bit. And they'll say that they got the rug pulled under them. They didn't get the rug pulled under them. Like, Playable's not going to pull the rug on them. Playable is a pretty solid project from what I can tell. They just bought high and then sold low is what they'll do. Cool. You guys have lots of suggestions. I like it. So one of the other ones that I want to look at today is Omi, and precisely for the reason that so many people are hating on it. It's because it's cheap right now. What do you think most people do when something's cheap? Is they hate on it. Why? Because recency bias. Oh my gosh, Omi's way down here. I'm grateful that Omi's way down here. I think it's got tremendous long-term value, and I like it when things are cheap. And so I have been buying more Omi. And some people say, well, Rain, what if you're wrong? I've been wrong before. I'm not right all the time. Now, I'm only wrong about 10% of the time now. Used to be 50% of the time, and still I made massive money even when I was wrong 50% of the time, because when I was right, it would go 10x or 100x or 1000x, and when I was wrong, well, I lost the money. So I still made incredible gains, but getting a lot better has led to much, much, much better returns. But some of that getting a lot better just takes some time. So yes, I think Omi is massively undervalued right now. Now, unfortunately, its market cap is still higher than a lot of the lower cap ones that I really, really like. But this does, at this price, have 100x potential. Now, will it hit 100x from here? I think so. That would take it to about 6 cents. I think it will. I think it'll go more than that, maybe 200x. There's a chance it goes absolutely crazy. And that's if a lot of things go right for them. It could go to something crazy like $5. Now, they will have, like, in the future, you'll be able to buy bronze tickets to increase the chances that you will get the coming drop. And that is going to end up being a big deal. A lot of people are making complaints about the VV app right now. And they're like, oh my gosh, the VV app and this and that. And like, they have so many things that they're dropping all the time, and it's diluting the value of what's out. And you're right. You're absolutely right if that's your concern about this. So here would be my question. why are you buying everything that they're dropping? Because I'm not. I'm looking for very specific first appearance type things. Like I got the Infinity Gauntlet. Cool. That came with a Thanos first appearance. Cool. There is something on my mind that is absolutely undervalued. I am not buying most of the drops that come out on this. I'm looking for very specific things. First appearance comics or first appearance collectibles, but most of it I'm not buying. And a lot of the first appearance stuff I don't buy when it first comes out. I wait till nobody's talking about it. One of my favorite deals right now, I'm going to share with you right now. And the reason I'm going to share it has a very soft floor. And so you guys will probably wipe this floor. And I already have gotten some over time. I want a bunch more, but there are two projects I think are even cheaper than this. And it's in the course down below. Now the link says 70% off. Unfortunately, I ran out of those and I had to generate some more. So the true cost is only 60% off if you use the code Rainmaker for Life that's in there. But that course is top two projects that nobody's paying attention to. And the floors are even better than this, though. This is an amazing deal. Now, this is Batman Black and White. Specifically, this is the Batman who laughs. And nobody is talking about this. Nobody is thinking about this. The floor has gone all the way down to $15. I think this is a tremendous deal. They're later coming out with a Batman movie based on the Batman who laughs. So essentially, somehow Batman gets poisoned by Joker's blood. And so he turns into the superhero / villain that like he kills all the villains and then he goes killing the superheroes too. It's quite an incredible story. This is the first appearance of him. I think in the future, this is a very big deal. And yet nobody's thinking about it. Nobody's talking about it right now. And some people don't even have the courage to buy something that nobody's talking about right now because they're like, what if it doesn't go well? It's a first appearance of this idea. And this idea, the movie hasn't come out yet, and it won't for a couple of years. So it might be a couple of years that you're sitting on this. But the floor is at $15. So this is easily coffee money. That's how much a trip to Starbucks can cost you. And so like the floor goes up pretty fast to like $20 or $30. But I think this is one of the best deals out there. And I just wanted to share this as a reward for those who caught the stream today, because I think this is massively underpriced. Now, a lot of these best tips never make it to YouTube. Why? Because I try to give it to the Discord members, the definite Rainmaker family members. This one I'm releasing direct on YouTube. So those that watch the stream today get it. All right. So we already talked about Bumper. We talked about Omi. Another one that I'm a big fan on at current prices is Spores. Why? Well, we've watched Seedify take off tremendously, right? So Seedify in the last year has gone from 57 cents. It's gone essentially 4x from there. Well, Spores is not that it hasn't. It's done over a 4x too. In fact, well, it recently did a 2.5x. But look at the market cap. It's $1.2 million. Look at Seedify's market cap. So Seedify's market cap is 126 million and Spores market cap is 1.2 million. So essentially it would, if it got to the market cap of Seedify, it'd be an 80x from here. Now I think Seedify in the greater bull market goes even farther than what it's at. Maybe at 10x's from there would take it to a market cap of 1.2 billion. But let's say Spores halfway catches up to Seedify's market cap at that, and it goes to a $600 million market cap. Well, that's like a 500x from here. And so Spores is, even though it's gone up a little bit, I don't consider this massive green candles because market cap is so low. And the Spores team is really connected, so they get some of the better games that are launching through their launchpad, as well as they have amazing connections into Japan, Korea, Vietnam that Seedify and some of these other ones don't have. So as Asia really ticks up and does tremendous things, well, a lot of Spores teams speaks the different languages of the Asian projects. And so they're well positioned to do really well versus some of the other launch pads. So Spores is one of the picks that look, everyone's ignoring, and it's hard to buy something when everyone's ignoring because Rain, what if it doesn't go up? And I can't promise you it will. I don't have a magic crystal ball. I'm not your financial advisor. I'm sharing with you what I like at current prices and why I like it, and realize I'm still wrong 10% of the time. As long as I've been in the space, and I learned very many lessons, and I'm still wrong. Now, if I try to pick exact timelines that things will run up, well, it's even harder to be right. So I'm not giving you a timeline. It's just from here to the bigger bull market. I don't see why this doesn't do 50x or 100x or higher. And that's what I like about it and why I'm thinking about it. All right. Let me catch up on some more. Wow, the chat trying to catch up on some things. Maybe I've missed some more things. Let's see. When are we talking Omi, Rain? Vladimir. Yeah. Okay, another question was QNT. I haven't looked at QNT all that much lately. I think we looked at it with Paul not long ago. By the way, the show with Paul this week will be tomorrow because I'll be traveling for about a week. And so Paul agreed to join me early. That will be tomorrow. At the normal time, tomorrow, I'll be doing the video with Paul. Okay, so Quant has been punished by the bear market. That's frequently the case. So it had topped out at $384. It's all the way down to 101, which is cheap, but not super cheap. The market cap is 1.2 billion. Let's see. Coin market cap. Quant launched in 2018 with the goal of connecting blockchains and networks on a global scale while reducing the efficiency and interoperability of the network. First project to solve the interoperability problem through the creation of the first blockchain operating system. I can't say fundamentally I really know that much about Quant. I was aware of it. I think I even made some money on it during like 2018, 2019, and into 2021. But I didn't understand it super well back then. I just knew that was a narrative that might do well and bought it and did okay on it. I sold it way before the top. Good price on this. Fundamentally versus the other options, I don't know enough about the fundamentals to know if I like it versus the other options. So they have 140,000 followers, which is pretty substantial. That's good. So they probably have some good explainer videos. This is pinned. So this is probably, if you're researching it, a good video to watch to understand, is this a narrative that can do well and yet another bull run? And probably, but the market cap is already 1.1 billion. Say it does pretty decent in the coming bull run, it goes to 20 billion. So that's not a bad return versus stocks. That's an incredible return versus stocks. It's not the sweet spot of where a lot of the stuff I'm in. I try to look for stuff that might fail, but it might also do 50 or 100 or 300x. So I'm not in Quant. And the reason I haven't done more fundamental research on it is because it's just outside the market cap range of what I'm looking at. Kroner says, Bumper, I bought 110,000 tokens 2 months ago. Not many, but I will buy more today. That's a decent amount, right? So good job. Oh, nice. I guess while we were live on the stream, we broke through. So let's check out Bitcoin's price. Ooh, snap. It pulled back a little bit, but so at the 1 hour, we totally went up. Broke through all the way up to 40,200, and we're going to be off to the races again. So some people are worried about a pullback to 16K, or less. I just don't see that'll happen. Now, we might have a buy the rumor or sell the news when the ETF gets approved. There might be a pullback after that because a lot of the current price is priced in. I just don't think it'll be as severe as all the way down to 16K, but it can. And if it does, that's okay. In the short term, a lot of positions, like that comment was saying, your especially your altcoins position during that time will get wrecked. What I do is I just hold them longer. That's okay. I don't, if prices get that cheap, I try to accumulate more at the cheap prices and not sell at the cheap prices and just wait it out, because that will just be temporary. Even should it pull back to such severe grounds as like a $16,000 Bitcoin, we're still going to have the bigger bull run, barring some world changing events. And it will probably come next year versus the year after. Hey, Rain, what do you think about Oasis, OAS, similar to Myria, but a L1, not a L2 scaling solution? I can't say I know OAS very well. I've heard it talked about a little bit. So it's a layer one. Its market cap is 109,000. It looks like 18% of their tokens are in circulation. Let's look. It's been out since 2022, so not all that long. It absolutely got punished. So the price is pretty good. Probably a lot of their tokens still vesting. This would be a good one to look further into and get a feel for what you think about it. So I just pulled up their Twitter. They already have 85,000 followers. Blockchain for games. So I'd want to know more about their consensus system. Who's building on it? Okay, it's a blockchain. Are they getting adoption? There's a lot of blockchains that will fail. It's about how many projects start building on it and start to utilize it. So yeah, that's a pretty good one to look at, Oasis. I like better where the price is at. It's cheaper, but then I'd have to verify it with fundamentals, because they're going to be having some token vesting pressures coming on, that some of their tokens are vesting. And it's going to put downward price pressure on it. Now, as you've seen with blockchain gaming, a little bit of increases, but notice, like, even with the blockchain gaming in the space, it hasn't increased that much during this period. And maybe that's because it hasn't been covered. Notice most of the projects that have run really strong the last month have been covered by Alex Becker or Crypto Banter's video game guy or Elio Trades, right? So 3 really big channels. I would note that Banter's video game guy is not an investor. His experience in investing is extremely light. He's a gamer. And so it is nice that he plays the games, kind of understands them, but his substantive analysis and why he thinks something pumps, he's not an investor yet. And I don't think he's working to understand these principles very much. Now, he's in a space that's going to do tremendous despite that. And so it'll seem like he's a genius, but he's not a savage crypto investor yet. He's a very inexperienced crypto investor. He just is a gamer, and blockchain gaming is going to go tremendously. So he will have some insights into quality of games. I don't like his analysis on why he thinks things will pump versus not pump. It's very shallow analysis without depth of understanding there, that just comes from being seasoned and having been through a lot of winters and as an investor and having a lot of things crash on you, and you develop more seasoned analysis over time. All right. Hi, Rain. Have you had a chance to check out the latest trailer for Earth 2? I saw a little bit of it on someone else's thing. It's probably Randy who gave me a link to the trailer, and I saw part of it. If you have, I'd love to hear your thoughts. And I heard they might have a token listed soon. It's interesting. Earth 2, when it first came out, like, it just seemed too easy. They essentially took a mapping of the Earth. We're selling off land. And I hope they do well. Like, obviously, Randy is a good friend of mine, and he's been way into it. They've done a lot of things right, the team. They've done far more things right than I thought we would see, because at the time that Earth 2 came out, there were a lot of scans coming out during 2021, and people were just throwing money at them left and right. And so the Earth 2 team has stuck around, even though they raised a whole bunch of money and during that time. So a lot of those scam projects took the money and then they found reasons just to close up shop and run away with a whole bunch of money. Earth 2 stuck around and continued building and developing, and cool. So do I know it'll be successful? I don't know. I'd like to see a super substantive team and make it happen. They could. They could. One of the massive gainers I made massive amounts of money on was Axie Infinity. And actually, for quite a while, I was worried they wouldn't survive because their team was pretty inexperienced. But then Animoca Brands came in and bought a percentage of the company, and in return, gave them a lot of help and direction and brought in people to help them out. And it greatly increased their substance. So, what I like about Earth 2 is I feel like over time they've increased their substance, but I don't own any. I haven't invested in it. It's just a little bit riskier, like, though it could do very well. I like to take ones where I feel like the odds are stacked for me even better. So unless I saw some reasons on the token that I really, really like the potential for it, I haven't looked deeply into the token, and I haven't been buying Earth 2 at these price, the land, even though I think the land narrative is one of the narratives that hasn't really pumped. I was sharing with some of my Discord community that I think Illuvium land and I think Ember Sword land is underpriced presently. Illuvium land, I wish that the economic incentives behind Illuvium land were better than they are, but I still think that Illuvium land will do incredibly anyway. Ember Sword land, I like the economics incentives behind it a lot, and you can get them the floor right now on Ember Sword land. You can get it on Token Trove for like $70 or $80 is the floor price on Ember Sword land. My guess is Earth 2 land is probably underpriced versus what it could do in a bull run. And so maybe I'll have Randy fill me in some more exactly on what the prices are and what he thinks where some good places to get are, and just kind of leverage the knowledge he has about Earth 2, because he's got several years of following the project closely. And for me to make a more informed decision on that, I'd just leverage his knowledge and what he's gleaned about it. Randy does tend to pick winners way more often than not. I like that about his background. What are your thoughts on Seascape crowns? Asked Remden. All right, Seascape. Let's look at that together. Now, for when I'm doing deeper analysis, I really do go in and start searching YouTube videos. I'm particularly looking for interviews with founders. These days, a lot of times on their Twitter, you can get Twitter spaces where they've answered some questions, and I like that type of research. It helps me make way better informed decisions. So their market cap is at 2 million. Let's see. Currently in circulation, 48% of the supply. So they launched prior to the bull run of 2021, but they only did very well during the early part of the bull run. They did not do well during the metaverse pump. Let's see what their website is about. Well, that's interesting. Being in the gaming space, and they didn't do well during the metaverse pump. That is interesting. Why didn't they do well during the metaverse pump? They should have. So they have a store. So the market cap's at 2 million. It's come up some, so it's gone about almost 3x from definitely from the lows here. It's gone 3x. Might be an undiscovered gem. It's on KuCoin. It's also on PancakeSwap, so it's on the Binance Smart Chain. The token is at a minimum, so you can swap into it pretty cheap on PancakeSwap. Yeah, the contract is on the BNB chain. Interesting. Let's check out their Twitter. Let's see what we got going on their Twitter. 105,000 followers. Now, I think on Twitter you could buy followers. I don't know if you still can, or maybe you can, and it used to be harder. I don't know. There's not a big point in buying followers, in my opinion. So what I would look for is Twitter Spaces that they're in, or some kind of videos with AMAs with the founders, or some of the best. And let's see, do we know who the team is? Check the about. I would want to make sure I know who the team is. I don't know. A little bit I'm getting the runaround, but that doesn't mean, like, Myria's team page and who the team is used to be a lot easier to find. And it's not. You can find it, and you can find interviews with their team. But they, for some reason, they changed it, and maybe they were getting too much spam. Maybe the team members were, by putting their contact information out there. So I definitely would want to know who the team is behind Seascape to know whether it can do well. Now, funny thing is, when the bull run happens, is you can make money on shit too. Shit sells during the bull market. What I look for, though, is I try to find stuff with better fundamentals, so I'm not just relying on luck for it to do well. I'm trying to put the odds forever in my favor. Why? I want it. I just want to increase. I want to take bets where the odds are stacked for me rather than against me. And a lot of the shit, the odds are stacked generally against you. But if your timing overall is just lucky, then you'll do well. And it's not necessarily luck. If you're generally buying now and holding till the bigger bull run, most everything will pump as long as the project survives and it has a decent narrative behind it. Imperial West asks a good question about Pulse Chain. Now, I was an early investor in Hex. I made fantastic money from Hex, but I always knew Hex was a bit of a gamble. Now, I felt like the odds were stacked in my favor because it was timing. The timing was pretty good. It was a bear market, and the bull market would follow, and that Hex was pretty unique. And the way that Richard Hart set it up was really unique. So I thought Hex would do really well. I'm more skeptical on Pulse Chain, though Pulse Chain could do well. And, Richard Hart, Hex did well enough. It did exceptionally well from the very bottom to the top that it's created a community who then are all in on Pulse Chain. So it's got a strong enough community that might grow during the bull market that it might even perform like a high-performing meme coin, even though it's not a meme coin. But that people will be buying Pulse Chain without really knowing anything about it is kind of what happens with meme coins. And so that will probably be the same thing that happens with Pulse Chain. So it's just a risky bet. It's, Richard Hart has gotten sued by the SEC. I don't think the SEC is actually going to win unless they're able to rig that court case. Richard Hart, the way he set it up, was pretty smart. It'll be hard for the SEC to win the case that they declaring it a security because of how he set it up. And he was always very straightforward with what it was and what it wasn't. So, yeah, I don't know. Lit, Creo, and Cos. Now, hasn't Cos been running a lot already? So I've heard a lot of people talking about Caspa, right? Or Cos, K-A-S. Now, wouldn't that feel a lot like chasing green candles? I just can't do that. It's pumped so much. Now, could it continue running? It could. Notice it had a little bit of sideways trace, broke to the upside. So here it tried to break out, came back down, broke out above that, retraced, then it was ready to run. And probably it might have another run to the upside, but realize it's way up. It's like 4x over what it was way down here. In fact, it's way over that. Jeez. You realize how cheap it was back then? So it's up tremendously from what it was late last year. I can't be buying Caspa at these prices. Its market cap is already $3 billion. It's just, that's chasing a boat that's already left the port. Now, probably you bought that a while ago, and congratulations if you did. You're doing really well. It's time to start evaluating taking profits. I think it'll probably break to the upside further, but it might not. And so if you're taking profits because you bought it somewhere way back here, you're in a good position to get your initial out. And then it's a free ride back that you're taking no risk riding it, hoping it goes up further. Creo. There's so many projects these days. It is really hard to keep track on them, right? So here's the total non-substantive analysis by this person that writes on the right side. Rez 2 hours ago wrote, Creo super early to this one, guys. Get in before it moons. Creo to the moon. So this is not savage crypto investor analysis, right? I mean, he's making a tiny bit of analysis and that he's saying that it's early, get in before it moons, which is kind of like a lot of the people in crypto just think about it this way, like get in before it moons, Creo to the moon. Great project, this Wagy games in Neuros. So this person's in Creo, Wagy, and Neuros. Let's do some substantive analysis on it. So 73K followers. Okay, that's actually a decent amount. They joined or created this account in December 2021. A size fits all gaming hub for Web3 application services. Download Evermore Nights on Google Play. So it looks like they probably have Evermore Nights already. That's good that they're releasing games. What kind of engagement? Okay, so we're seeing some things on this. Creo is interesting. So pretty basic level games, but you can still get away with basic level games in blockchain gaming right now just because people are super hungry for games, and they will even take like early level games. Like that looks a lot like what Legends of Zelda looked like 35 years ago. And it normally wouldn't fly very well today, but if you incorporate blockchain and gaming and you do a good job with it, a game like that would totally fly. I mean, that could be more fun than what Axie Infinity was. And still, Axie Infinity made it to like top 10 games in the world at one point. Coin store. Really, I would want to see stuff from the game. So here's Evermore Nights. It looks like they have things out and you can earn games. So it's good that they at least have a game out already. I would want to know more who's building on it. The market cap's pretty low on this. So not bad. It's on the BNB chain. You can get on PancakeSwap. They pumped some. So they've gone up 50% in the last day. So, ooh, well, so it's already gone 10x. Jeez, I don't know. It's just gone 10x. So maybe it has a little bit more running to go, but notice it's just gone 10x already. So I'd be concerned about that. I would want to wait to see how it plays out. I just don't chase both I missed. And if it's just gone 10x, I'm not going to buy something that's just gone 10x. Almost never. All right, guys. That's a lot of my thoughts. Look, you're in the right place to learn to become a savage crypto investor. Realize that this takes you 4 years. Really, you'll get exceptional over 8, but a lot of the learning, you'll be through a lot of the learning curve in a year or two. Now, from now until the next year from now, you'll probably seem like a complete genius, even if your skills aren't all that great, because in the bull run, everyone who just got in early enough seems like a complete genius. If you're here, what we will be talking about when things are going absolutely crazy is taking profits and diversification and other things like that. And some people will say we're crazy or we're dumb and, oh my gosh, you should be mortgaging your house to buy more at these prices. And that in itself is a signal that we're at the top. So we're not at the top yet, but it's been a nice run in blockchain gaming for the last month. We've been talking about blockchain gaming for the last 2 years. In fact, been talking about blockchain gaming essentially since 2019. And I invested in some of the early blockchain gaming projects like Axie Infinity, Gods Unchained. I did tremendous with those investments. And some other things I did really well with in blockchain gaming. I think this year, this coming year is going to be the year of blockchain gaming when it goes absolutely berserk and does very well. Right, everyone. Yeah, that's all for today. I'm going to wrap up and do some other things. So thanks for joining us. I'm going to leave you with the wrap that just reinforces the principles that I share that make all the difference in becoming a savage crypto investor. Just think of working to become like a Navy SEAL of crypto investing. And a lot of people won't go this route, and it's fine. Like, there's a lot of people that just want somebody to tell them what to buy and stuff. And I'm not trying to hand over fish to you. I'm trying to teach you how to fish so that you become really, really good at this, how to do substantive analysis, how to not FOMO into things, how to learn how to make a more sophisticated analysis of things. So you become really good at this so that someday, because someday soon, I'm going to be on the beach a lot. I'm going to be doing other things. I'm going to be, this coming bull run, buying a number of supercars. I'm going to have a supercar for every day of the week. Well, I need to go drive those things, spend time with them in some other homes. And so this will be my second bull run that I was prepared for. And the first bull run I did tremendously with. Excited for what this one will do. So look, while you have my time, learn this stuff. If you haven't already, join the Discord. You'll get greater access to me, especially if you do it at that gold level. But you'll also get access to a network of people who are already learning for the past 2 and 3 years to think like this. And some people that have been thinking like this for 20 or 30 years that have gravitated towards this. None of this stuff is new to them. They don't have their own YouTube channel, but they are extremely bright and intelligent. And they're also in the Discord too. Thanks so much, everyone. We'll see you soon.
Came into the space chasing all of the gains, chasing the pumps and all of the hype trains. But like in life, shit bad before you could. Was told to buy when it was pouring like a rainmaker should. I buy when it's down, don't chase the boats that I miss. Cause I always make the time in mind. I stick the one out cause I'm patient like that. And I'll wait for the right time. I sell when it's high, I buy when it's low. They call me rich, they call me smart. I'm just a rainmaker running the show. Calculated investments, I don't leave with my heart. The principles are simple, they're leaving a mark. Buy when it's boring, just gotta be smart. I sell when it's hype, like all the channels they pump it. That's when I was selling, go parabolic and dump it. They call me rich, they call me smart. I'm a rainmaker, making my own start. I'm with the future, learning the past. Makes the time fly by, years going so fast. The game plan is mine, I'll own it now. When I reach the top, haters asking me how. Cause I'm a rainmaker, investments I love. And I follow what I learn, not relying on luck. Time is never better, the time like the present. The next 5 years is a gift and it's feeling like heaven. I'm committed to learn, studying to know that nothing comes easy but with knowledge the game show. Sticking out this wrong cause soon will come a bear market. Learning and growing and when it's slow will be the target. They say it's come out, Bitcoin is dead. The massive decreases can get to your head. Sticking around, the time is better. Strong like that, I'll let the others be fretters. 2 years time the bull will bring back the gains. That makes it worth the effort cause here comes the rain. So let's go rainmakers, let's make it all happen. They go with the hate, let the haters be crapping. I'm here for 5 years, let's do this together. The time is right, the time could be better. They call me rich, they call me smart. I'm a rainmaker, making my own start. I'm with the future, learning the past. Makes the time fly by, years going so fast. The game plan is mine, I'll own it now. When I reach the top, haters asking me how. Cause I'm a rainmaker, investments I love. And I follow what I learn, not relying on luck. Haters be hating, the time to slow down. Addressing what they say when I'm wearing my crown. They're chasing green candles like someone who was new. I got a vision that was bigger, helping me to push through. I'm still human and sometimes it is rough. And that's what makes me special, simply I stay tough. Cause I'm a rainmaker, investments I love. And I follow what I learn, not relying on